by Joel Logan with the Hole in the Ground Terrain. Welcome to the third video in our series, which is a series of tutorials on how to make caverns and mines. We're going to be concentrating in video 3 on how to make passages for your cavern or mine pieces. Sorry for the delay in this third video. I have built two, I don't even know if I can hold them in the screen with me, but two very large pieces that we're going to use to learn on. There's going to be two methodologies we use. The first one will be just simply freehanding some passages. The second will involve a little more complicated methodology, which involves her starts pieces. You may have seen some pictures in my previous videos. You may see one behind me here that shows some of the more complex passages that I've made with her starts pieces. Anyway, stay tuned. We're going to jump straight into methodology 1. When we finish it up, we'll do methodology 2. Then we're going to touch and fill in the pieces and primer them, paint them up, and look at the final results. Thanks for watching. Hello everybody. The first methodology we're going to go about is a freehand passage that we're just going to carve out. Now you may ask why I've got this miniature out. Before we do it, you want to think about the largest miniature that you'll be placing in here. So the idea here is we'd like for at the very biggest for this miniature to go in there. So the first thing we're going to do, there's not any rocket science to this, but we're going to sculpt out with a black Sharpie our area here. And let's see if I can do this. And like I said, there's nothing magical about this. But you want to do a little bit of planning before you start. Now I have strategically picked the bottom piece here. And in fact, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger to accommodate this large miniature. So, let me move in a little bit here where you can see what I'm doing. Let's make it just a little bit bigger. But notice I've got this layered piece, and we've went over building these in past videos. Back up so you can see the whole thing. It is easier to do the bottom layer if you've already assembled everything. So I've marked it here. Let's see if we can flip this up a little bit and still get everything on camera here. Now, part of the cool thing about the illusion of passages when you build it is we want to go a good ways back into this piece of foam, but we don't want to go all the way to the bottom. But we are going to take out a pretty good chunk of this foam, and we're going to create the illusion of shadow. And once this thing's painted up, when it's sitting on a gaming table, it'll look like this thing just goes on forever. Because once we're through carving this out, of course we're going to paint it solid black inside. Now I always like to put a little bit of X on here on pieces that we're going to lose. So we've got this drawn out, and once again I'm going to hold this miniature up, and even if it don't fit in here entirely, which it might, it should be able to go in, and I may make it a little bigger as we get into it. So I'm going to get my freehand sculpting tool, or my plunge piece, I'm sorry. I'm going to start with my plunge piece. I'm going to get it warmed up, and we're going to start cutting here in just a minute. Right, everybody, hopefully you saw how I did that, and it's far from perfect. What I like to usually do, instead of trying to do it all at once, is knock it out in little sections. So what I usually do, I have some metal files here, and I'm going to work on smoothing this out. And when I do my final dress up coat with some plaster or filler, and you can use whatever you want to before I paint this, I'll fill in a little things. But I did pretty good. I got close to poking through right there. But I'm going to smooth things out with my file. And once this is painted black, it'll look pretty darn decent. And you actually won't see the end of it when it's on a gaming table. It'll create the illusion of shadow. You can put your miniatures up in here. They can come out on different rounds. You can do all sorts of neat things. So I'm going to smooth this up. Then I'm going to fill in cracks on the rest of the pieces like you've seen me doing other things. Then we'll go through the normal paint procedure. We'll paint this thing up and have some pictures of it toward the end of the video. And we'll go ahead and move on to methodology 2 here in just a minute. Hello everybody, let's talk about our second methodology. Basically methodology 2 is the same as the first, except with an added step and twist. We're going to recess some pieces we've made ahead of time onto the edge of the passage. And let me jump over here. Now, you guys have probably seen this in prior videos. And this is one of my corner pieces here. You can see there's a free-handed one, but I've also got two different passageways here. And looking at it, you would think it went on, forever into the darkness. But basically, I've pre-made some pieces here, and I've cut them out just a little bit and recessed them in. You can do it, hopefully you can see this here, you can do it just a little bit or you can do it a lot. It really depends on what you've built, and feel free to be creative. So let's look here. You can see the large blue piece I've made. And what I did ahead of time here, and I'll try to put on the screen when I do my editing some molds here you can use from Hearst Arts. But what I did, I've made these ahead of time, glued them and let them dry. And we're going to put some on here. Now, it's always easier on the first level here, but we're going to go ahead and do a second level passageway. And so the first thing I'm going to do here, let me set this here. Take this other one away. We'll use it later for another project. So I've got a pretty decent passageway here. And let's find a place where this would look good coming out. We'll say maybe right here. So you can take a magic marker or a pen, whatever you got. And first thing we want to do is let's go ahead and see if we can mark it up pretty decent. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And a pen or a pencil, whatever you got will do. Alright, so you can see basically the outline I've done. And just like before, I'm going to use my plunge cutter and probably an X-Acto knife to cut this out. I don't want to cut all the way through to the end, but I want to do it far enough where I can keep the illusion of darkness. And so let's see if we can get this cut out. Alright guys, what I'd like to do now is we want to try to recess the frame of the door. We got it looking pretty decent. When it's painted black, it'll look like it goes on forever. But right now what I want to do, let's see if we can do it, is I want to trace out around the outer frame of the door a little bit. And I've done this a lot in the past. This can be a little tricky. And it's something we might have to tweak or play with a little bit. But what I'd like to do is get this recessed in maybe about halfway here. And like I said, this is going to be a little tricky and we might have to use our X-Acto knife more. But let's see if we can do just a little bit of a plunge here. Alright guys, hopefully you saw from that the cuts I made here are far from perfect. They're not going to be visible once we slide this in. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this in here in a second. But you see I've got this recessing into the foam to where it looks like it's built in. And what I may do, I'm going to use some filler, some dental plaster on this like I do the others before I paint it. And I'll probably put just a little bit of filler in here and along the edge. But you can see that looks pretty decent right there. And hopefully you can see that. Now remember, all of the inside will be painted black and it'll look really good when it's finished. And I'm going to paint it up and show you what the finished thing will look like. Here's a small miniature I'm working on just to give you some scale and size. But you can see being recessed just a little bit makes it look so much better. And like I said, I'll probably fill in around the edges a little bit with some plaster, but this is going to look really good. So you can see the second methodology is basically like the first, except you're going to put some pre-assembled Herstarts pieces in. What I usually do is go about 3 blocks high, some type of arch, and some capstones on the top. And there's 3 or 4 different molds you can use. Some of the basic generic one. If you're broke and don't have enough money but to buy one mold, I think there's one called the Dungeon Beginner's Guide mold. I'll put the mold number here on the screen as I'm talking. And that has a lot of stuff just to build some basic pieces if you don't have a lot of money. Anyway, I'm going to move on. I'm going to fill this piece in with some plaster, and I'm going to paint the piece from Methodology 1 and this one from Methodology 2 up and let you see the final results. Right, everybody, I wanted to end with a few shots. This first piece here, I wanted to show it to you again. I made this piece, I believe, about 1.5 years ago, but I wanted to start out with this to talk some more about the color scheme. The color scheme I use here is base everything black. Now I do have Krylon H2O paint, but I find I get a whole lot more deeper and richer black if I hand paint this. And I'll be honest with you, I really glop the paint on thick excuse me, and then I come behind it and dry brush real dark gray. Now the trick is I like to keep it very dark looking and kind of eerie. So with the I use a color called Dolphin Gray from the Apple Barrel line, and it's a very light gray, almost the color white. And what I do here is I only dry brush the edges, like along through here, and I'll highlight maybe some of my archways a little bit. And every now and then where I have a sharp piece, I'll only do that, and maybe just a little bit on the flooring, and that keeps it really dark and kind of gloomy looking. And I'm really happy with that. I try to not use a lot of the light gray. So black, little bit dry brush dark gray, and then just a little bit of a very light gray. Now I also hit the flocking I use, of course, which you know from prior videos is a mixture of cat litter. But I'll usually dry brush that light gray. So anyway, I wanted to show you the piece I did a while back. Now for this instructional video, let me show you the ones we did for it. Now this is the second methodology here, where we set this in using some Hurst Arts pieces. And you can see, even though that's only probably 3 or 4 inches deep, from the gaming table look, it looks like it goes off into forever. It's all about creating that illusion. But as you can see, I've sealed this. I've dry brushed it, painted it, sealed it. Got the same look as before. And this was one of the large runner pieces I did. So not only am I working on the tutorial video here for you guys, but for about 1.5 years, I'm working on a large cavern mindset, you know, just for my personal self. I've made a whole lot more and sold them or given them to people than I've kept for myself, but these pieces are going to be for my personal collection. Now, of course, here is the one that we just freehanded and sculpted. And once again, you can see that does not go all the way through, but on the gaming table, you've got that illusion of shadow and darkness, and it looks like it goes on forever. Did a little bit of some crystals on this one, but tried to stay with that paint scheme. I tried to keep it looking really dark. I didn't want to go too crazy making it too light. But anyway, these are from my personal collection. I want to do over the next few months some videos of my Cavern Mine collection that I'm working on. There's a lot of stuff I've been building when I've had some time that you hadn't seen that I'd like to show to you. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it's not too long. There's nothing overtly complex about what we did. Purpose of this video is to give you 2 methodologies on making some passages in your mines or caverns, excuse me. The next video in the series I'm thinking about doing is making some really inexpensive mine cart tracks. They're really good to have protruding out, and I've got a methodology for that I think you'll find is really neat and really inexpensive. I want to give you some tips on that, and we'll build some of those up. And since making ladders are very similar, we may make some ladders for that too. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry it's taken so long to finish these videos up. I've been really busy, of course, being a father and a husband, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you hadn't, and thanks for watching, and as always, God bless.